Hey, I'm Marina.
And I'm Emily.
And I've seen everything in the Sex and the City empire 10,000 times.
And I'm starting fresh.
So I'll be woman-splaining the show.
And I'm along for the ride.
But there's a twist. We are starting with And Just Like That and working our way back to the beginning.
So in other words, we're watching it backwards and in high heels.
This is City and the Sex. Welcome back. We are at the end of the tunnel, Emily. We can see the light, and just like that, it is almost over. We're at the penultimate episode 9, season 1. How you feeling?
I'm so happy, Marina. A weight has lifted. My skin has cleared. My bills have been paid. I'm so happy. We're so close. I didn't think we were going to make it. And I'm really proud of us, honestly. Can I take a moment to say that I'm really proud of us?
Yes. Round of applause, screaming, cheering, air horns. We've done it almost. I'm proud of us. I mean, we've spoken a little bit about this, but I'm a little scared that once we get to the actual good episodes, we won't have anything to talk about anymore.
It's part of the experiment that we're doing here on this show. I'm a little nervous for what Sex and the City is going to be like. Not the movies, actually Sex and the City, the show. I feel like I'm going to fall out of my chair, just like with how different it's going to be.
God, I can't wait. I'm brimming with excitement. The movies are like, I don't know, Epcot.
Explain.
It's like related to the main event, but like just fun.
Okay.
It's like Cosmic Rewind. Like, we're here to do the best ride and get really drunk and be like, what a good time.
Okay.
But it's not like Magic Kingdom.
Right. Okay.
No one's like buying a ticket only to Epcot.
Got it. Yeah. It's not actually part of it. It's just like this bonus drunk thing that exists on the side. I see.
Emily, what was your one word for this episode?
My one word for episode 9 is screaming.
Okay.
Because there is a lot of yelling in this episode at inappropriate times, I felt. And I think that was my takeaway from this, was just there's a lot of, it felt like just indicative of this whole show where people are reacting in strange ways, as we've discussed at length. So that kind of felt right for like, this is my one word summary of this episode is screaming. A lot of screaming.
Mm. There was a lot of screaming. Again, I feel like the director on this episode was just like, if you scream it, the laughs will come.
Yeah. I think that's going to be... We're going to get to a lot of these scenes, and I'm going to ask, why is she shouting? And I think your answer oftentimes is going to be like, Emily, they think it's funny. Just
they think it's funny. My one word is all into family.
Okay.
Squished together as one word. Because this was a very familial episode. And also, I will say one positive off the bat for me in this episode is it's the first episode where like most of the side characters and the mains are all together in one big group scene. Like, this is the first time that
That's
like
true.
LTW and Seema and Naya and the main 3 are like together.
Yeah, a lot of intros.
Like the only person that's the only person that's excluded is Che, which like makes sense. So I like that, and I think that it was generally well executed. And it kind of shows what season 2 could have been, which is like, we just need little flavors of everybody, not full weighty soap opera plots for everyone.
Yeah, I think this is a great example of that. That's good. And even just tiny little things. Naya doesn't have a caterer. LTW steps in to call the caterer. It's the smallest interaction, but there's something so pleasant just about watching these characters interact in a way that isn't focused on misery.
Yeah. Exactly. So let's get to it. This is episode 9, season 1, titled No Strings Attached, which I don't even know if that is relevant to this episode.
Is that a reference to Che? Maybe, but not.
Maybe?
Well.
Big old shrug.
We'll circle back at the end of this and see if we can figure it out.
We'll circle back and say that's for you, the viewer at home, to think about. Like, what is no strings attached? And I expect 500 words, double spaced.
Double spaced times New Roman. Thank you.
Times New Roman. Thank you. Okay. So we open with Carrie, Charlotte, and Miranda all at brunch, and Carrie's preparing to go on the date with Peter, the widow teacher, as he is self-described. And we do get a cute moment here where, like, Carrie and Miranda, like, their food arrives, and Carrie wants Miranda's food, and Miranda wants Carrie's food, so they swap. Fun.
We're already off to a good start, is when we're, like, giving a shout-out to little, like, tiny, cute moments of, oh, and they swap the food. Isn't that so nice? It just feels like stalling. You know what I mean?
It does. The way that I looked at your face to get like a
reaction,
an eager, like, yes. And the way that your face was just dead.
I was like, I just don't have anything to give you. They switched the sandwiches.
I'm running on fumes here. Okay.
I know we're trying to stall, but I have nothing to say.
Okay. Let me start this Mustang back up again. So, Miranda asks Charlotte and Carrie to help with the woman's shelter that we got exposition to last time, being like, you have to paint. And Carrie's like, why can't I just write a check? And she's like, you can't be the white lady who just writes the check. And I'm like, but why can't she be that though?
Yeah, I don't see a problem with that. Is that it's like a funny joke, I guess, but it's not like no one's gonna cancel Carrie. There's so many things Carrie has done that being the white lady who writes a check to a good cause is just not even sort of on the list of things that we're going to cancel Carrie for.
Yeah, I just feel like they couldn't come up with a better excuse. I feel like they wrote themselves into a hole. Yeah, where they were like, well, Carrie would never paint. And then it's like, I don't know.
Yeah, I was thinking about that when I was watching her strut around in those heels. I was like, why is she here?
Exactly. Yeah. And then we turn to Charlotte, who says, I think that my period has stopped and I'm in menopause and I'm having none of the symptoms. I'm doing great. And then Carrie and Miranda were like, oh, we thought that smug Charlotte died long ago. I'm happy she's back.
I thought that was sort of a cute thing because, you know, again, any sort of reference to what the characters used to be, you know what I mean? It's just like, is nice because here I am. It's not that Charlotte, again, I've said this before and I'll say it again. It's not that Charlotte is like a pleasant person. It's just that she's like watchable. So any sort of reference to the like dark days when she was like unwatchable and is smug and annoying are like great for me.
So then we get to Carrie back in her house and Lisette drops by. And love that Lisette says, sorry for the home invasion.
Okay, you came by someone's door and you rang the doorbell. It's like, that's not, I mean, I think there's something that they're trying to do of like, she's awkward Gen Z. And so they like are socially awkward. I'm going to stereotype against the youth. It's not typical Gen Z behavior. I feel like it's to like go to your neighbor, give them a gift and be like, hey, I thought of you, something. You know, it's like Gen Z is out here on Twitter canceling people for like making chili con carne for their neighbor or whatever. So I was like, you know, it is funny for Hope and the Norm to be like, I'm so sorry for being here. It's like, you're here already. You've already come here to give us a gift. But did you catch that line? Is this the line that you've talked about before where she said I'm such a huge fan of your podcast?
Yeah. Okay. So I did not catch that before, but in this rewatch, when she was like, oh my God, I'm obsessed with your podcast. I was like, oh, They brought it up before. I was like, that's even crazier.
She said this twice.
Is that they've been pushing this, that like Lisette is a secret Carrie stan, which only further proves our hypothesis that Lisette is a vessel for us, the fans, more specifically what they think the fans should think.
Yeah, and I can't unsee her scenes now that we've had that discussion. You know, without that, like this is going to end with her giving the ring to Carrie and basically being like, can you do promo for it or whatever? And Carrie makes some self-deprecating comment that's like, I can't remember what celebrity she compares it to, but she's like, oh, I'm not like so-and-so. I'm just a lowly writer. And then Lisette says something that is very it just made me think of you where she said something that's very like, no, you're amazing. You're so good at that. Like, I love your writing. It was just like so sycophantic in a way that I was like, oh, I see. This Lizette is not a person. Lizette is supposed to just be us who are obsessed with this show and everything MPK does.
Yeah. To get to your point, though, Lisette does come over to give Carrie a piece of jewelry, hoping that she'll post about it on her Instagram so her followers will see it, which goes to our earlier story pitch that this is the last mention of. Never comes back. Is dead.
A waste.
I do love here that Lisette says, ugh, like, I need this jewelry to sell or else I'll have to go back to modeling. And at first I thought that was a throwaway, and they like Carrie makes fun of her about it later. So like, thank God they like caught their own ass there. But for a second there, I was like, what?
Yeah, I think that's very well put. If they didn't make fun of this later, you and I would have roasted this because that, you know what I mean? To not acknowledge in universe how ridiculous that sounds, we wouldn't have let that go.
No.
I don't really get Lizette as a strange experiment of a character.
As a freak.
Anyway, but I'm glad to know that we don't have to really put up with her because she's new. So this is not something I have to worry about.
And then we end on the weirdest, most awkward cut where Lisette is like, oh, you're married? I see your wedding ring, but I've never seen your husband around. And then Carrie like mumbles her way through like, oh, he's dead. And then the scene just like ends.
There is the first thing that I need to note, though, is that Lizette actually doesn't recognize the wedding ring. Lizette, famed popular star jeweler, looks at her hand and goes, that's cool. What's that? Like she doesn't actually recognize that it's a wedding ring.
That's true. Well, because Gen Z doesn't get married. We know this.
They have no idea. When we say we've lost the receipts, we mean the institution of marriage.
Yeah, they reproduce asexually. Yeah. We know this. That's why they're freak aliens.
They just reproduce. They just osmose it, like form another person, like a head out of their shoulder. All right.
Yes.
You know, and good for them, the children of the future, I guess. Okay, so she first doesn't. I just wanted to list all the weird social faux pas that happen. She first does not know what a wedding ring is. Carrie says, this is my wedding ring. And then Lizette obviously doesn't really put the pieces together and says something like, oh, well, I never see him around. Does he live really far? Which, like, even if I were coming in and I met someone, let's say I don't know anything about them, they're not a famous writer, I don't know that their husband maybe famously died, whatever. If a woman said to me, this is my husband's, this is my wedding ring, and I've never seen her husband around, I'm not going to, like, poke around. Do you know what I mean? I'm like, there's a story here, and I'm not going to start prying about, like, oh, why is your husband never around? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
There's, like, some...
out the gate.
It's a little risky. You know what I mean? So, but she goes at it anyway, and is like, oh, why is he never here? Does he, like, live far away, I guess? Carrie is clearly not in the mode to get into this conversation and says, like, what you said, which is like, oh, yeah, he's... in a way, or something like that. And then Lizette just overshares and is like, I was once in a long-distance relationship. It didn't work at all. And then finally Carrie confesses, actually, he's dead. And then makes the joke, that's the longest distance it can be, or something weird like that. Tries to do a one-liner, and then it ends. But there's like 3 social faux pas that Lizette goes through that are just like not the right response.
Yes. Well, let me back it all the way up, because you actually just jiggered a thought that I did not have until this moment, which is, if she's so obsessed with the podcast, she should know that Carrie's husband's dead, because she brings it up all the fucking time.
Oh, you got her. Oh,
so fucking fact check, call the fucking police. Get them in here.
Call the fucking cops on Lizette.
Fucking 911, get them fucking over here, because...
You got her.
So not only, to your point, is it strange to be poking and being like, oh, you wear a wedding ring, I never see your husband, what's up with that, is just strange. But on top of that, you should fucking know if you're such a fucking stan.
And yeah, we explicitly know that it's in the text that Carrie brings it up every 5 seconds. So, like, there's just no way.
There's no way.
Yeah, you got her.
And then... Got her. Fucking get him.
Fucking get him.
To the county jail. Put her in there.
We are Fact Check Sheriff. You are sent to county jail.
Lock her up. Throw her in with one of those hit clips. But the clip is just sound bites from the S1E9 podcast.
Oh, that's cruel and unusual. I don't think we're allowed to do that.
That is my gitmo.
That's your Guantanamo Bay, is having to listen to XY. I think you should go on XY&Me's podcast page on Apple Podcasts. First, go on our page and give us 5 stars and subscribe. Then go on their podcast and be like, this is my Guantanamo Bay of podcasts.
This is my That's
Obama promised to shut this podcast down, and he didn't.
He didn't. Instead, he let it keep going. That's like, I have no power on reviews, but if I saw a podcast where the top review was, this is my Guantanamo Bay, I would absolutely listen. That's like, I can't click fast enough. You know what I mean? That's like, how do I get this in me? Like, how do I download this into my cerebellum so it cannot leave?
This is exactly what I've been waiting for. Thank you.
Yeah. God. Anyway, so Lisette's a flop, and I don't hold it against her. She's a sad clown. We know this. It's canon, and I can't wait to see what they do with her in season 3.
That's true. That's true. Now that she's still in the apartment, so we're gonna see her eventually. I feel like we're gonna have some apartment-related plot.
We have to. She's gonna find like a condom from 1990.
Oh God, I hate that you're probably right.
And then Sarah Jessica Parker is gonna be like holding the dried condom, looking wistfully in the corner, God. About like one random date that never actually happened in the show
that they're referencing anyway. Yeah, sounds.
We're already writing episode 1.
Sick. This is sick.
Sick. So then we get to segue.
Anyway, there's no easy way out of that.
Nope. Gonna just backpedal my way Flintstone style out of this. Charlotte and Rock are talking about the they mitzvah because Rock is at that age when the mitzvahs. And it's clear that Rock is like dodging their responsibilities and not really like practicing the Torah and the prayers. But luckily Anthony calls so Rock can run away. And we get this bit where he's in the hot fella uniform. Oh, yuck.
I guess we always need to have, I guess I'm fine with the hot fellas thing because we need to have Anthony be doing something. And they don't have enough going on to just like every time they call him, he's like in his kitchen. You know what I mean? It's like we need to have him doing something. So I guess I'm fine with this. It is like a silly concept that every time we cut to him, there's like shenanigans happening with the bread delivery business that he's in. But whatever's going on, that's fine. Give him something to do.
I'm not against the bread. I just, maybe because we're finally getting to the end, I was like, I cannot take one more hot fella scene.
Yeah, that's fair.
Especially because you're right in that I think the origin was like, well, we need to have him be doing something. A bread company, COVID, sourdough, whatever, fine. But then they like make it crazy.
Yeah. It's heightened to crazy town in a way that's like not necessarily fun.
Yeah. It's kind of like, how many improv scenes have you and I been in where somebody comes on and they're like, oh, teacher, you can't fail me in math. And you're like, okay, I'm the teacher. And you're like, well, Jimmy, like you weren't doing good enough on your test, so you're going to have to study more. And then he's like, well, I've been keeping your secret that you're an octopus. And you're like, okay. Like, thank you for telling me that I'm a teacher in this scene, but now that I have to be octopus teacher, I'm like, what the fuck?
Yeah, exactly. Why, buddy? Why'd you do this,
buddy?
Yeah. That's not nice. Don't do that to your improv partners.
Don't. If this podcast is anything, it's a PSA against the practice and institution of improv. And then if you're going to engage, at least be decent.
If you're going to engage in the dark arts.
The dark arts.
At least be kind.
If you're going to practice necromancy.
Yeah. At least be kind.
At least be kind. Anyway, Anthony calls. He says, can I bring him a new date? Can I bring him to dinner on Friday? Charlotte's like, sure. And then we get blood-curdling scream number 1. And it's Lily off camera. And Charlotte's like, Lily, what's wrong? And Lily's like, I got my period and I already did the math on my period tracker and my period's going to come during some bitch's pool party in a month and I'm freaking out. And Charlotte's like, okay, well, you need to suck it up and learn how to use a tampon. And she says, I'd rather die than use a tampon.
Where do we start?
Listen, where do we start? I will give the show this, that I do think the bridge from pad to tampon is a big bridge for most girls. Blood-curdling scream, I'd rather die than put a tampon in, is insane. I'll just say that.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, it is exactly that, where the Lily has to learn how to put in a tampon, I think is actually a totally acceptable and, if anything, welcome plot for these people to be dealing with. Like, it's such a quintessential teen thing that I think it's genuinely cute and a great idea and so much better than I want to fuck in a blizzard, can you get me a condom? It's also so alarming that within 1 year, we're going to go from Lily screaming at anything going wrong involving a tampon, at the idea of having to put on a tampon. I would rather die. A year later, she's like, Mom, I'm ready to have sex. What's wrong with you? Why is everyone giving me a hard time about wanting to have sex? I'm totally ready. That is crazy to me that this is the same character we are witnessing right now. Yeah. Crazy.
That's definitely a reward of the backwards experience because, the whole time I'm like, in a year from now, she'll be like, welcome to the fuck palace. It's like they're right there. The plot is such a good idea. We've all been at this point where you're like, tampons are scary, but I have to overcome the hurdle. And then they just take it to such a freakazoid level that you're like, well, I don't want children. That's how this ends. You end this episode being like, children are fucking horrific. And I'm not actually saying that. I'm saying that's what the episode is giving.
Yeah, it's not a good... It is not... If you are on the fence about having kids, this is not a good episode.
Do not watch this episode.
It's going to tip the scales one way. It is not a good resource to make your decision. So I do think, though, going back to your point at the beginning, that is exactly... It goes to crazy town so fast and for the rest of this episode. But to your point, I think they think it's funny. I think they're like...
Yeah.
If we just do her trying to do the tampon, that's not funny enough. And it needs to be kooky. What's the way we're going to make it kooky? Lily is going to be screaming every step of this way. That's going to be our funny thing. And they can't think of anything. They can't think of any way to heighten a situation other than let's make a person a bitch or let's make this person screaming. And this episode, the latter was definitely the direction that was given.
Yeah. I mean, we'll get to it in a minute, but I feel like there are other comedic scenes that work much better than the screaming. But for some reason, it really feels like they think the screaming is the funniest way to be humorous about the situation, which Miranda and Che are at a diner eating dinner. And
it's so weird to just see them on a date. Is that mean to say? It's just there's something about it. The relationship, as we've discussed at length, again, it's weird to see them acting like a couple. Do you know what I mean?
Well, because you remember how last episode ended.
Wait a second.
Last episode ended with the big, I'm in a rom-com, Carrie. I'm going to Cleveland to surprise Che.
I completely forgot.
And everyone was like you were, and I tried not to break your heart at the time.
Completely forgot.
Was on the edge of their seat being like, I can't wait for Miranda to get to Cleveland and see Che fucking 8 other people at the same time.
Right.
Instead, we get this.
Oh my God. I completely forgot that was how that last. If there was anyone still watching, I think we've reached all the drop-off points, but I feel like anyone who is still left, this would be a good drop-off point because that's so insulting, is to end the episode like that and then the very next thing we see is them having dinner in Chelsea. That's so insulting. Not that they have to have the plot go the way that we want, because I know that Che's going to stick around, right? You don't have to have the big breakup blowout that everyone was expecting in Cleveland, but at least show me Cleveland. right? Or something.
And now we're just together.
These people make me feel crazy.
Yeah. Well, then what's crazy is that Miranda, like, I forget exactly how the compliment opens up, but Miranda says like a whole bunch of like PC jargon where basically she's just like, you're a really great in a non like gender specific polyamorous way, like something like that. And Che goes like, haha, you're a lot of fun. And that like broke my brain because I was like, nothing about the joke that Miranda made about using PC language was something that I enjoyed. And also knowing Che as being someone who's kind of like a staple in, you know, the non-binary community, like leading rallies and TED Talk comedy specials and things. It's like, how is this fun for you? I'll never know. I don't know why you're together. And I'm staring at you with googlies in my eyes. And then the show pushes it even further by like having these two young people come up to the table and like gush over Che and be like, oh, can you take a picture with us? And Miranda's like, I'll take the picture. And they're like, are you famous too? And Miranda's like, I'm just the girlfriend. And then Che like, well, girlfriend, like basically winces at girlfriend. And then the two young people like sit next to Che and then they're like, oh, Che, you're so funny. You remember when you fucked my friend here?
Crazy.
And then you fucked my other friend here. And then you fucked my other friend here. Okay, bye. And then they get up and leave. It's just like unhinged. First of all, like, okay, I'm one of those people that has a hard time approaching celebrities in public. Like, I know some people have no gall about that. Like, they see Kevin Bacon and they're like, Kevin, can we get a picture? I like can't bring myself to that. I will just stand in the corner and stare like a stalker. Mm-hmm. That's my MO. To think that I would go up to Kevin Bacon and be like, Kevin Bacon, oh my God, can we get a picture? Also, remember that time you fucked my friend?
Yeah. I can't.
Crazy.
Once again, a person is acting insane, and then the people in the universe don't react to the insanity as if it's insane. And everyone in this show is also a different flavor of insane, so it's not like I can point to a show like, I don't know, like a comedy, like Parks and Rec or something, where everyone's kind of like goofy and insane and heightened in the same way. Because the writing is consistent, the characters are consistent. Like, this is not a show that has nearly that consistency, so everyone's insane in different ways. Also, after Miranda literally just said, I'm the girlfriend, to sit down and be like, hey, remember when you fucked my friend? And then, like, list 3 people they've fucked is sinister. to use our buzzword for this show. Sinister.
Well, and the fact that, like, we're supposed to take away, like, oh, Miranda's insecure because Che fucks. And you're like, that is not my takeaway. Yeah, my takeaway is that, like,
have an issue.
Everyone is fucking on gummies, just walking around saying absurd shit. That's my takeaway.
Yeah, exactly.
So then Seema and Carrie are in line for the club. So Carrie expresses that she's insecure wearing her wedding ring still. And Seema's just like, you do you, girl. And then Seema's kind of like impatient trying to get in this club. And she's like, well, I'm going to go bribe the bouncer because I want to get in because I want to dance. And Carrie's like, no, like, why are you so eager, basically? And she's like, well, it's my birthday. And Carrie's like, what? Like, you didn't tell me, like, it's a surprise. And then Carrie's like, you're not going to bribe the bouncer on your birthday. Let me handle this. Which I think Carrie's the last person I would turn to get me into a club. But
I have not met her yet, but I know it's only Samantha. Nobody else is getting me into a club.
Nobody else is getting me into a club. So Carrie, with the confidence of fucking Jesus Christ, is like, let me go first. And her tactic makes no sense. She goes to the bouncer. She's like, we've all seen the scene in the movie where the woman goes to the bouncer and tries to talk them into the cool club. And like, we're both adults. We don't need to do that. We don't need to do it like this. Like, you could just let me in. And the guy's like, we're at capacity. And she's like, okay, so we're really going to do this? Like, yes.
Yes, Carrie. What did she think his response was going to be? Was, oh, you're right. We can skip this part. You can just go in. Very bizarre. If I were Seema, I would be embarrassed. I'd be so embarrassed that my friend even attempted that. I'd be like, sorry, sir, we're going home.
Yeah, that's what it should have been. Instead, then Seema like offers him the money and he's like, that's offensive. And then they start running away and Seema's like, was I just canceled by a bouncer?
Again,
And the scene's
I
over.
don't understand. This is so bizarre. Okay, you know what? Here's my theory. I think this scene was written to get to that line. And here's why. I think you told me that all the writers write based on their experiences, right? And they're like,
Yes.
whatever. I think one of them had an experience with a bouncer that ended with someone making the joke, did we just get canceled by a bouncer? And they thought that was so funny that they like put it into this show. If that is what happened, I guarantee you whatever they were doing to that bouncer was probably a genuine problem. But they didn't understand that. You know what I mean? So they tried to translate the joke here, but it doesn't land because all that's happening is he's just like getting bribed and saying no. Do you know what I mean? This is my theory, is this is what's happened.
Yes. See, this is where you and I balance each other out because you're like the tragedy mask and I'm the comedy mask when it comes to analyzing this show, in that you are always coming from a place of like, they are sinister people, which like could be an accurate read and we'll never know. And I'm always coming from a place of like, no, they're just dumb. Like,
So
I just think one of the writers tried to go to a club and was like, I'm still young, hot shit. And people know me as the writer of Sex and the City, which they don't. Tried to talk their way into a club. It completely backfired. And then they were like, oh, was I canceled by the bouncer? That's a good bit. Let me put it in this show. Like, I just think, and maybe it's a combination, you know, of sinister dumb, what I like to call cine but we'll never know. Well, Carrie and Seema just go and get dinner, and then they have a long talk about the birthday because Seema's basically like, by the time I was 54, I thought that I would have a man, and I don't. And then she's like, instead, I have an amazing best friend, which we all know is a lie because none of us trust Carrie, but whatever. And then she's like, well, if I had to look at my life like an apartment, like I don't have everything. I don't have a fireplace, but I have an amazing view, and like points at Carrie. And I'm like, Carrie is just too many fucking flowers for this character that's done literally nothing for you, Seema, other than just like answer your phone sometimes. And then Carrie's like, here's to your fireplace. And then she's like, do you want to go see a matinee on Saturday? And Carrie's like, I can't. I have to paint this house in Greenpoint, and like I might die on the subway. And then Seema's like, I'll drive you there because I can't afford to lose you in the subway because who will come with me to do stuff?
All right.
Women.
That's good. I was taught that if you don't have anything nice to say, you shouldn't say anything at all.
The thumper rule.
The thumper rule.
That's what my mom called it. The thumper rule.
That's really cute.
Yeah. I feel like they want me to feel something here and I don't.
Yeah. I don't think it helps that Carrie's advice is, shocker, not very good. Like, I think if a friend shares this sentiment with me, I can see why people give this advice, but I actually don't think it's maybe the kindest thing to be like, well, you'll get someone. It's kind of not helpful. I guess this is my PSA for people. It's like, it's not really helpful to, when your friend is like, but I have these other things in my life, to respond, but you'll get your man. Maybe actually, Carrie, that's not what she like wanted to hear, you know?
Yeah, you're really tapping on it because when I watched the scene, I was like, I don't know why the scene is like weird to me. And I think that's exactly right. I think the smarter way is to lean into the friendship and be like, well, no matter what men we find, dead or alive, like you and I are here together, would have been so much more meaningful than just like, cheers to you, Seema. At some point you'll get that dick.
I know. Ugh. She could have said something kind of, you know, like, yeah, I obviously would never wish that I lost Big, but if I didn't lose him, I also wouldn't have met you. You know, something about how you will still find things and you still have new people to meet you haven't met yet, and you will still find things even when you lose things. And we went with, don't worry, Seema, you'll find your man. You'll get dick down. Cheers.
Cheers. Girlies. Then we cut to Charlotte cooking dinner. She's cooking dinner, Friday dinner. And Lily comes to the kitchen and she says, I'm ready to put the tampon in right now. We need to do it right now before I change my mind. And Charlotte has not yet overcome the abuse that these children put her through. So she says, okay, honey, I'll be right there, despite the fact that she's in the middle of cooking.
Yeah. Free Charlotte.
So she and Lily kind of run off to the bathroom, and then Anthony arrives with his date. And I'll just describe what happened, and then I'm going to describe my experience with this. Okay. So Anthony brings his date over. He's this hot guy named Justin. He waltzes right in, and Harry's like, oh, I have to take the challah out of the oven because, Charlotte's dealing with this Lily issue. Like, he says something to that effect. And Justin's like, oh, is this a Jewish household? And Anthony and Harry are kind of like, yeah. And then he goes, well, did you know the Holocaust is a hoax, right? And then without missing a beat, no space, Anthony just screams, get out. And then we hard cut to Carrie debating over her wedding ring. Okay, that is the editing sequence that we witness. Yeah. So the first time I watched this, that get out line was the only thing that made me laugh, I think, the entire season.
I was going to say the same thing.
I threw
laugh.
Out of my seat.
A genuine, not a pity laugh of, I'm laughing internally. I see what they're trying to do. I was going to say the exact same thing. This is the first goddamn time that something was genuinely funny. Laugh out loud funny. We have a joke, ladies and gentlemen. We have a joke.
Oh my God, we did it. I just remember, I remember rewinding and rewatching it because it was just so, to say the way that he takes, there is no pause between, well, the Holocaust is a joke, right? Get out! And then the hard cut, it is so brilliant. Yeah. It's like, you know why it's brilliant? Because the absurdity of a guy entering a Jewish home and just starting with the Holocaust is a hoax is crazy. But then the show does itself a favor by just immediately burning it to ash. It's like, yes, this is what you should have been doing the whole time with your crazy ass comedy philosophy.
Yes, exactly. If we had an Anthony, someone to respond to insanity in a heightened and also funny way, this is what we needed.
So, as I said, we cut to Carrie kind of looking at her wedding ring pensively, and she opens the box that has Big's ring in it, and then she takes off her ring and she puts it in the box, and then she actually reopens the box and puts both rings on, which we can all agree is dumb.
You mean this entire scene, or just the idea of putting on both rings? Do you know what I mean?
The idea of deciding to I think it would be touching if she put on Big's ring and in her way whimsically thought about it for a minute. But the fact that she decides, no, actually I'm going to wear Big's ring around, but with a Band-Aid around it.
Oh, I see. Yeah. To make it fit.
Makes no sense to me.
I thought where we were going with this is, my new friend who's a jeweler, I have this ring that doesn't fit me anymore. Why don't I ask her to make something nice, maybe a necklace out of this or something? I thought that's where this was going, and that was dumb of me. I should know better by now.
Yeah, that would have been smart, and that would have showed us Lisette's talents. But why would we do that?
Just gonna keep making that noise. Yeah.
We were never hired to write on the show. First of all, now we're never getting hired to write on the show because we've talked too much smack.
Yeah, I think our bid to write on this show has failed.
Yeah, I think our desperate bids to write on the show will never be heard, and that's okay. We did that to ourselves, but they're definitely not going to be answered now. Okay, I just had the most unhinged thought of all time, which is, do we try to write season 3, just the two of us, before season 3 comes out? And we come out with yet another podcast that's just us retelling what our season 3 would be.
I think we race to the finish, and if we get there before it comes out, we have a very special episode of City in the Sets.
A very special episode. That will be the Patreon.
Yeah.
Yeah? For the 10 people who listen.
Cough that up.
Cough your nickels and dimes up, okay?
This ain't cheap. This ain't cheap to make.
So, as I said, Carrie takes off the wedding ring, decides to put both on. And then we cut to Charlotte and Lily doing tampons, is what I wrote. And basically, the long and short of it is we cut back and forth between all these montage scenes of Charlotte trying to get Lily to put the tampon in. And I think these bits work for me.
Agreed.
Like, because, you know, Charlotte tries to like coach her through and show her the different angles, and Lily's like confused. And then like Lily's like desperately trying to put it in, but she's like still too scared. And so like we see Charlotte go through all the different coaching types. Like, first of all, she tries to be like peppy and cheer her on, and then like that doesn't work. And so then she tries to be like meditation like and zen like you feel the calming sense, and like that doesn't work. And then she just screams at Lily like, put it in right now, like just like goes like hard. And like all these things like I'm a fan of.
Yeah. This is all it needed to be. It doesn't need to win an Emmy. Just do a little goofy whatever. I'll take the montage of Charlotte doing ridiculous, you know, motivational techniques any day. That's fine. Great. No notes. Get me out of here.
No notes. I do love when they're playing this like YouTube. So part of the montage at one point is like Charlotte's like showing her the YouTube video, and it's this girl and she's like, you're not scared of the tampon's scared of you.
Yeah. And you can see Charlotte like nervously looking at her daughter like, is this good?
Is this working? Like, so good.
Yeah.
So good. And I love when she has the moment too where she's like, why don't I just show you? Should I just show you? And Lily's like, no. Like, all this stuff is working. And then like finally Lily's like, oh my God, I got it in. And Charlotte's like, oh, finally.
Right. Now we can eat.
Charlotte's like, I'm sorry it took so long in the bathroom. And Harry's like, I'm sorry I burnt the bread. And Anthony's like, I'm sorry I brought a bad date. And great. This is where this plot should have ended.
Yeah, exactly.
But it keeps going. Before we get through that, though, Carrie shows up to her date with Peter, widower teacher. That's a tongue twister. But she shows up just to cancel on him.
Yeah, okay. They frame this as a nice thing to do. She's like, I was going to text you, but then I wanted to be in person. And he like thanks her. You know, he's like, oh no, I appreciate that. And then at the end even has the line saying, hey, Carrie, best rejection ever. I would like to know your thoughts. I disagree. I think if you've been on one date with someone, they don't need to be broken up with under the prep. Like, you don't need to trick them into thinking they're going to have a second date. And that, like, that is not nice. I don't understand why this is framed as a nice thing, personally. You can text them. That's not mean at all. What are your thoughts?
My thoughts are, if this was actually the way we were going to end with Peter, teacher, widower, I would be more accepting of just being like, whatever. The fact that then she asks him out for another date, I'm like, you can't come back from this.
Yeah.
You cannot meet someone in person and be like, I wanted to break up with you in person. It's not about you. I'm hung up on my dead husband. And he's like, well, I replay the voicemail of my dead wife, so I get it. To then be like, actually, JK, you want to go out? Like, that is unhinged to me. That's the part that's crazy to me. Like, I agree, 2 dates, but you could argue that, like, because they had the run-in at the gala, he's like a little bit more than just like a random guy. And if I had to be generous, I would say I think she does empathize with the fact that he too is a widower, although it seems like she like kind of forgot about that part.
Yeah. Whoops.
He brought it up like, well, my wife's dead too. And she was like, I'm talking. Is what
she's like, I'm the only one that gets to use that line, sir.
Sir. Big is dead. The thing that also makes me mad is the fact that Carrie's like so stuck on the fact that they vomited on their date.
Yeah.
And so like they can't date anymore because of that. And it's like, that's cute. I don't know. Like that's like anything, a story that you tell people.
You guys have kind of broken the ice on something. You know what I mean? It's a funny, good story. It's a couples thing. It's like you've seen them throw up, you've seen them on the toilet, you know what I mean? You've already done an intimate thing that's kind of funny. Like, embrace it. It is a little weird that that's what she's hung up on, rather than like, at least in this scene, I did feel like it wasn't about the throw up, and it was about I'm not ready to date yet.
Yes.
At least. But yeah, whenever she talks about him, she's like, it's vomit guy or whatever. And it's like, leave.
Yeah.
Just leave him
You
alone.
puke too.
Yeah.
My thing is too that it seems like to me like the writers do not like this guy and do not want them to continue to date. And therefore I ask,
Why?
so to what end did you bring him back 2 more times?
Wait, he comes back 2 more times?
Yes.
I know she's going to
They
text
go
him
on
for
another date.
Another date. Do we see him again?
No. We'll talk about it next episode, but he's dead. But my point is,
and
you had an out last episode, which is like they bump in the gala, it's awkward, but they both acknowledge that they're not ready to date.
Right.
That would have been how you ended last episode. Instead, they drag this guy to come out for 2 more. I'm like, what contract did he have with fucking HBO Max that they were like, no, he has to be in 3 episodes? And the writers were like, fuck, we don't even really want him around that much.
I don't get it. Which, first of all, is he seems completely nice. Do you think they just got too attached to this scene of Carrie trying a date and then realizing she's not ready? Because I feel like this story beat has happened like 5 times now with this particular man. It's like she has like pursued something, opened a dating app, realized she's not ready, closed it. It's like every step of the way has had that story beat. It ends on her being like, I'm not ready after all. Or her walking into the sunset being like, and just like that, I got back on the horse. It's like they kind of can't make up their mind, but they really like both of those endings. So we just keep flip-flopping on this guy.
Yeah. To your point, it doesn't keep coming back as like, you know what? I'm still not ready. Like, it doesn't feel like a continuation, like another block on the Jenga tower. Right. You know what I mean? It just feels like, I think I should date. No. I think I should date. No. Like, it's like 51st dates. Like, she just has amnesia in between every time.
We go on the journey anew every time.
Yeah. With the same guy.
With the same poor man.
I'm like, at least make it different people.
Yeah.
Like, why is she attached to fucking Peter, widower teacher? Like, this poor man.
Leave him alone.
Then we get to another horrific scene. We see that Miranda shows up at Shay's Hell's Kitchen apartment with her secret knock. And Miranda's like, surprise, I have cookies. And Shay's like, oh, I didn't realize you were like coming over or whatever. Like, did we make plans and I forgot? And Miranda's like, no, I was just, and I quote, I was just craving me some Che. If anyone ever said that to me, I'd be like, this is over.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
I'm not a fucking tenderloin.
Do not ever say that to me.
Yeah. So she's like, I was craving me some Che, so I just wanted to swing on by. And then Che's like, and then Miranda's like, oh, do you have someone over? Is someone in there? Like, starts screaming. Yeah. And Che's like, no, well, someone is in here, actually. It's me, because I'm writing. And, like, you should have texted me or called. And Miranda's like, I'm sorry, you're right. I'm stupid. I just need to leave. And then, like, starts fucking running away. And then Che's like, what are you doing? Like, why are you like acting like this? Like, just calm down. And Miranda's like, I thought I could come surprise you with cookies. And she's like hysterically screaming, I thought I could come surprise you with cookies. Who did I think I was? Meg Ryan? Fuck. Like, in the hallway. Yeah. And Che's like, why are you acting like this? Like, what's going on? And then Che's like, I don't think this is gonna work. And Miranda's like, what do you mean this isn't gonna work? Like, fucking almost crying, being like, no, what do you mean? I can make this work. I can do this. And Che, I'm giving fucking Emmy-worthy performance here.
Yeah,
okay,
I want the
let me
audience
just
to know
be
this
very
is
clear.
Exactly what it sounds like. This is great. I'm glued. I'm glued.
I'm glued. I'm trying to say. And then Che's like, no, I just mean you can't lock us into these tropes. A sentence we will unpack in a minute. And Miranda's like, well, what am I doing? What are we doing here even? Like, what is this? Like, what are we? And Che is like, we're whatever you want to be. A mystical answer being like, we don't have to set the rules and we can change the rules. And then Miranda brings up a good point. Miranda's like, I thought I was defying the rules by surprising you and not like thinking that was weird. And then Che's like, well, just FYI, You're the only person I'm sleeping with. And then presumably they go off to fuck.
A nightmare of a scene. This is when
Nightmare.
I wrote down that my word for this episode was screaming. And I did write down a few lines that you mentioned there, word for word, when she does say, who am I, Meg Ryan? Fuck! Like, just so emphatically screams to herself. And then also wrote down when Che is like, this isn't gonna work, referring to the panic attack that's happening. Miranda goes, no, this has to work. Lands on that has very hard. A couple things. First of all, the escalation of the scene is unhinged. There is no world in which I brought you cookies, and 2 lines later we're like, fuck! I'm not Meg Ryan! It's like so crazy to watch. I want to like make a playlist of like scenes to watch in isolation if you want to see what this show is about. You know what I mean? Like, we've mentioned this a couple of times. I think this is a good one.
This is top of the list.
Top
of the list.
This is so crazy how it just goes 0 to 120 so fast. And then also the delivery of the screaming and the crying, and then the line of this has to work is like, I'm sorry, sinister. It's like, what do you mean? No, actually, stop. Let's unpack that. Because like, I feel like someone in this writer's room knows how unhealthy this relationship is, because you're writing it so explicitly as like this really, really toxic, unhealthy thing. And yet the other writers are treating it like this is just fine, and Miranda's like finally being free. Do you know what I mean? They're saying these like lines that on their own are so concerning, and yet this show is about to just carry on like this is a normal couple, and we're supposed to be fine with this. And everything I've seen in the literally dogs are barking. Like, the neighbor's dog is barking. Like, people are concerned why this breakdown is happening. We need to unpack it. I was like upset. I was upset for her.
Yeah. I think it just goes to like, there's a to use a medical term, there's a cognitive dissonance in this scene because Miranda, the scene also tricks us into thinking it's finally the scene where Che admits to being a fuck person. Because Miranda asks all the questions that we are asking. What are we? What's going on? What do you mean this isn't going to work? Like, things that we were maybe expecting to hear that didn't happen. And then, but Che's rebuttal of many of these points only make me think more that Che doesn't really care about Miranda.
Yes. It's so obvious that Miranda is on a completely different page. But for some reason the show and Miranda accepts this answer and is like, fine. But that's because that's my thing is like, Miranda could be on a different page, but then they don't explore it. Yeah. Because they don't even break up for being on a different page. Right. Let's really think about it. They break up because Che hits their bottom and they realize that like Miranda is not the person that they want to turn to when times are dark. So in a way they break up because they're on different pages about like how to come back from tragic life events. And like Che does say like, you know, you're only dating me, you know, the idea of me and like this like magical like fuck person that you think that I am. But they don't really explore it in a deep way to make that very clear. Like, I'm doing a lot of filling, thesis writing over here to like fill in that that's what they should be communicating, but they don't really effectively communicate it. Like in this scene, I don't know what my takeaway here is. It's kind of like Carrie when Natasha's like, oh, and never loved me and always loved you. Like, here's all the validation you need. Yeah. That's what this scene, it was just like a bunch of like, I don't know, big old shrug, but here's a ton of validation for you, Miranda. And then we get to the women's shelter that they're painting. This is like most of the episode. And as I said earlier, like this is, I think, one of the highlights of season 1 generally. I mean, a lot of chaotic things happen. Really fast, yeah.
I'm not saying it's perfect, but I'm saying that I really like the setup and I really like the playground that they put these characters in, that they all get to come together for the first time and we get to see how they all deal with painting. And like, I think that is very fun.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm done being positive.
Okay. That was really good. That was really brave.
So Seema and Carrie show up to the painting thing, and Seema's like clearly there not to paint.
Yeah.
And Carrie's in her overalls and her, 5-inch platform heels. And Carrie's like, well, I have to paint because, I can't be the white lady that signs the check. And then Miranda shows up and is like, oh, thank you guys for coming. And then she's like, oh, Seema, I'll get you a painting shirt. And Seema's like, nope, I'm a brown lady that writes a check, and like walks off. And you're like, I needed this joke to be over.
Yeah, it's like the stereotype they keep referencing of this white woman with a check. I just I don't know what they're talking about. Like, if this was an actual stereotype that they're all making riffs on, that'd be one thing. But I don't know what this is. Where did they learn this of the white woman with the check? Do you know what I mean? Like,
also, why is that a problem?
Why is that a problem? I don't know.
Listen, I'm not going to speak out against my own people. I'm joking. I mean, I'm not joking in that they are my people, but it's like, if I can hold my tongue during pumpkin spice latte season, I'll hold my tongue now.
If all you can do for a cause is financial assistance, that is completely fine, and don't feel like that's a problem, no matter what your skin color is. It's actually fantastic that you're donating more than hashtagging. That's great.
Speak your truth, Emily. Tell them.
Someone has to speak up for the white women here. Am I right?
Somebody has to take a stand and say, no longer shall we cower.
No longer shall we cower. Hashtag Hillary Barbie. I'm coming out here with my check as a woman. Tortured Poets Department. Here we go. Like, speak for the white women.
Here we go.
Carrie Bradshaw.
Yes. Carrie Bradshaw. What is the White Woman Coalition? It's just like Ugg boots and those big dumb hats and big cups and keychains with like 8,000 keychains on them. And one of them's like a self-defense whistle.
Do you still have your Stanley Cup, by the way? Speaking of big cups.
Oh my God.
Or did you hear about there's like lead in it, right?
I did hear about the lead in it. Oh God. You'll notice that somebody's absent from our
I did notice
session today.
I'm sorry.
And it is because I am struggling with the recent news of lead. My boyfriend has been trying to get me to buy a hydro flask because the hydro flask also makes essentially a big dumb cup with the handle on the straw. But I can't bring myself to do it because I can't bring myself to own 2 ridiculously large drinking vessels. I can't donate it, so I'm just like cursed with a Stanley that is so big and cumbersome. So like, I'm in a New York apartment. Like, where am I supposed to put this thing?
I'm in a New York apartment. There's no room for this cup.
I can't buy a second hydro flask because that's just stupid. So anybody who wants a Stanley can have it. Just let me know.
So funny.
I'll wash it. It's not damaged, so the lead isn't coming out yet. And that's all I'll say about my son.
I sympathize, but also as friends, I want you to know that I find your situation deeply funny.
It's like the old maid. Like, I'm stuck with this Stanley that I like have to get rid of.
And it just is sitting there taunting you.
Laughing at me. With
This is the last time you are jumping on these stupid TikTok trends.
I just wanted to be part of the White Woman Coalition, okay?
This is what the White Woman Coalition, this is the culture, is like copying and taking from things, even the bad stuff, even the things that have lead poisoning. It's like, I will take your thing, even if it kills me, but I want to take your thing. I want it. That's the coalition.
It's more like just like white women too hard sometimes. Like, you know what I mean? Like, we just like get on a bandwagon and then we're like, everyone's into this.
Yeah.
And then like something bad happens as part of this bandwagon, but we've gone so hard on it that we can't backtrack. It's kind of like how for people who didn't read the books, right? Like Twilight came out and women were like, no, we are into these vampires. And if you're not into these vampires, you're sexist. And everyone was like, okay. And then we got to the fourth movie with the imprinting. And everyone was like, well, what's the imprinting shit about? And we just collectively, as the White Woman Coalition, had to be like, I don't know what you're talking about. Go Twilight.
I've never read a book in my life. I have no idea what you're talking about.
I didn't see it coming. I don't know, but isn't Taylor Lautner hot? Let's focus on that.
I think this is a good read. Let's commit super hard to a thing, bandwagon the thing, and then we're going to end up stepping on a rake somehow.
We're at the painting. Miranda's there. Seema's there. Carrie's there. And then who rolls up? Steve and Brady.
Oh, yeah.
Steve, fresh off of Miranda asking for a divorce, seemingly out of nowhere, to be with another person. But because they said they'd do this as a family, he still shows up. I'm like, since whenever?
Yeah, his reason to be here is as strong as Carrie's reason to be here, in that it is a bad reason. I think it's kind of funny, though, is because it's like, we need to have him here because he needs to have the scenes that he's going to have with Carrie. But both of them shouldn't be here. Do you know what I mean? If I were Steve, I am not coming to be involved in painting this house as a family with the woman who just blew up our marriage to go be with someone else.
I agree. And I will talk about it more next episode, but you get the sense here that Brady's not super happy because when Miranda's like, okay, we all have to pair up, like Brady, you'll partner with me. And he's like, oh no, I'm going to partner with Louisa. He kind of says it in a way that's like, oh, like they're reeling. Maybe we'll get a scene later about, you know, how Che has destroyed their family. We don't.
Thank you for setting up the suspense and then telling us exactly what we should have known was coming. We don't. We're not going to see consequences of this seed.
No consequences of actions ever. Right. So then a fucking limousine rolls up. This is like White Woman Coalition coded, is coming to a charity event in a fucking limousine.
Crazy. And for what? She just makes an offhanded joke about how it's like, oh, this is the only car they had. I'm like, why did we do this?
I mean, because I was like, okay, because they have all the kids. They're like 5 kids and 4 sets of parents. Or Harry doesn't come. You could get a fucking Mercedes van for 7 people. I feel like showing up to a charity event in a limousine is crazy. If
again, it's presented as like maybe that would be the bit. Like if that happened, that should be the bit. Is someone in the group rolled up to an event in a limousine, now everyone's judging them. Like, that should be the bit, but it's not. She just shows up and is like, it's all they had, haha, and then we just move on, as if that didn't happen. Crazy.
Yeah. So Charlotte and LTW show up, and she's like, I'm ready to, like, take pictures for the event. Yeah, there's this interaction that, again, makes no sense, where Miranda's like, oh, God, who would take pictures of this event and post on Instagram? That's disgusting. And then LTW goes to Naya and is like, nice to meet you. Because remember, Naya's organizing this, even though Miranda has completely taken over. And LTW goes to Naya and is like, oh, I brought my camera to take pictures to, like, you know, help bolster the website and, like, pay, you know, have people pay more attention to the cause. And Miranda's like, oh, shoot, did I step in it? And Carrie's like, yeah, you did. Like, what is this interaction for?
WWC, baby. That's the coalition.
The White Woman Coalition, like, ew, don't post on Instagram. You're disgusting. Yeah. Don't help this charity out by giving them more attention. That's fucking chuggy.
It's an incredible thing for Miranda to say, is like, I'm going to police this event, and then just absolutely steps in it. I love it, though. Again, I love that she steps in it and another character is like, yeah, you did.
You did. Then we get to the scariest character in this show, Andre Rashad. Horror scream. Here he has...
He will turn me into the
one
Hulk.
Of the... Yeah, you are hulking right now. You're already in the purple shorts.
I'm fighting it. The purple shorts, my shirt is ripping at the seams. I'm fighting.
Emily, no, you have to be strong, Emily. Don't get angry. Emily, hold it in. No. You can't go on me. No, Emily, no.
It just, the camera goes like static and I just drop out and you're like, well, I guess I'll keep going.
by myself. And then we just like cut with the news, and it's like, in Brooklyn today, a 7-foot tall green woman stomped through screaming
about
trigger warning.
Yeah. Screaming things like trigger warning, woke moment, and bring me Andre Rashad's head. Weird specific things.
Then she burst into a beanie store and ripped them all and then ate them all at the same time.
I'm gonna kill him. I'm gonna kill him in a stupid beanie.
I'm gonna choke the beanie right off. Okay. So we get one of the most villainous scenes of all time from Andre Rashad. Just gonna go through it. Then we'll unpack it. Right. So Andre's like looking at Herbert the turtle, which like, leave him alone, icon, god, king. He's just like literally standing with his kids. He's like not even really doing anything. He's just, and that like, makes him barely painting the wall.
Most lovable character on this show is the fact that he's often doing nothing.
Doing nothing. Being left in peace. He's being left in peace, just like hanging out with the kids. Andre's looking at him with like fuck eyes, like daydreaming about him. And he turns to Naya and he's like, oh, some grade A fathering over there. Ugh. And then Naya's kind of like, yeah, whatever. He's nice. Like she says something normal. And then he's like, I mean, that's the stuff of life. And then he's like, you don't get a pang looking at them as a family over there? And Naya's just kind of like, well, you know, they have multiple drivers and probably 3 nannies. Like they have enough money to take care of 3 kids. We're still renting an apartment. And he goes, way to bring down the vibe, and storms out.
Should we do...
Oh, Emily left. Sorry.
Yeah.
I guess I should just keep going.
I was just saying, I was like, I think we should keep going because otherwise we're never going to finish this if we go through. I think we should just discuss this at the end.
Grade A fathering.
Eat this mic. What if I just swallow this mic whole? What would you do about that? Andre Rashad?
Andre Rashad?
What do you think about your father's skills? And just like break the microphone and just crunch it in my mouth.
Well, Emily's already started her rampage down Brooklyn, so we'll never see her again.
I'm lost to the cause. I'm lost in the sauce.
Lost to the stuff. It's the stuff of life, Emily. Okay. So then, by the way, he says this in the room where everyone can hear him. So Naya turns to Miranda and is like, oh, you know, what am I supposed to do? He keeps bringing it up. And Miranda's like, listen, we're all stuck in our ways. I mean, I'm stuck thinking I'm a girlfriend waiting for Che's text. And it's like, your situation does not fucking apply.
It's so wild.
We're not talking about you.
We're not talking about this at all. It's like, it's once again, we've talked about this before where the writers need to merry-go-round. Let's hop around the brunch table. And everyone needs to talk about what they're doing. And the transitions are so awkward that it makes the characters look rude, right? Because they'll be like, you know, oh, I just blew up my marriage. Oh, well, better than the week I'm having. Why? Rock wants to change their name. You know, it's like just a completely different thing. This is so funny because it's like just those two. And then like Marina's, there's no warning. She's just like, well, I'm waiting for a text from Che. And horrifyingly, Naya's like, oh, and like, we start talking about that. It's like, can someone be nice to Naya? Like, can someone be Naya's friend for once? I want Naya to be happy. I've just seen her do nothing but suffer and be alone. And I want her to have a friend.
Yeah. And again, why would she ever choose Miranda? It becomes more painfully clear every day. Then we cut to Seema outside, and some hot guy, the European guy from season 2, rolls up.
Forgot about him.
And he's like, what's all this crap doing here in front of my car? And Seema's like, I don't fucking know. And he's like, and she's like, why are you asking me? And he's like, well, you're smoking and not doing anything. That's what the boss does. And she's like, okay. And so he keeps calling her boss. And he's like, so anyway, what are you doing here? And she's like, why do you care? And he's like, well, I'm the manager. I own the hottest club in Brooklyn, which like begs the question, why are you still living with your ex-wife if you own the hottest club in Brooklyn? Like, shouldn't you be making enough money to like have some swanky penthouse somewhere? But whatever, he literally just exists to die in 2 episodes, so I don't care.
No notes, perfectly said.
Carrie's painting in her heels, and Steve does what we've all done, which is gang up on her to be like, how long did you know? Well, first of all, he says, did you know about Miranda and Che, and like, how long has it been going on? 2 very reasonable, factual questions that you could just answer.
Yeah.
I would answer if it was my friend's partner. Like, I'd be like, listen, I can't say much, but I'll give you these 2 facts, because he's right. He basically goes to Carrie and is like, I just need to know.
Yeah.
Because like to sleep at night, which like
a completely legitimate thing to ask. And frankly, Carrie owes him an answer.
Instead, she just kind of dodges it and is like, well, the only thing I know is because Steve also pushes being like, did Miranda always want to be with women? Like, have you known that she's always wanted to be with women? And Carrie's just kind of like, well, all I know is that she just wants to be with Che, and it's all about Che, which is just like turn the knife more.
Yeah.
And then Steve keeps pushing, and Carrie trips back into a pan of paint in her heels. And then she runs to the bathroom to wash her heels. And as we predicted, wearing Big's man-sized ring on her lady-sized finger, it pops right off and goes down the sink. And we're able to completely distract from Miranda by focusing on Carrie's ring drama.
Mm-hmm. All right.
Okay.
And guess who comes to the rescue?
Steve. Icon. Hero. Legend.
The man, the myth, the lasagna.
Then we get to the tampon.
Screaming.
Lily's like, Mom, I lost the tampon string. And Charlotte's like, are you sure it's not up your butt crack? Because that's where it usually disappears. Did you check? And Lily's like, ew, no, gross. Why would I ever look at my butt crack? She's like, I'm having a panic attack. I can't breathe in here. And then Charlotte's like, okay, I'm going to bring you some water. And she goes, okay, but not ice cold. I want it room temp. It's like, what? The abuse.
Abuse. Free Charlotte. This is unhealthy.
Free Charlotte.
So much screaming.
So then the gals are all getting food, and Charlotte's like exasperated about the Lily situation. She's like, it's like a newborn, but with a phone and a period. And I am not finding it funny.
No, that's a line they clearly thought was really relevant, and parents were going to be like, har, 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 so relatable. But Lily is not a normal child.
So then Che calls Miranda, and Miranda's like, I'm not going to answer. I've been too eager lately. And then Carrie's like, oh, we're playing the dating rules. And Miranda's like, we're not playing by any rules. I'm trying to be chill. And I don't buy it.
No.
Then we cut to what is essentially the breakup scene between Andre and Naya, or at least the beginning of the breakup, because it kind of completes in season 2. But they kind of have a talk, and Naya's like, you know, I understand that you're fixated on kids, but why are you going to throw away like 15 perfect years with your perfect person for kids? And he says, I just feel I want one.
This is where I was like, all right. I remember you warned me. You're like, if you hate him now, you're going to hate him in season 1. And I was like, I don't know if that's possible, because he's such a dick in season 2. He's just such a sleazebag that I was like, I don't even know. But in season 1, I think this was where it's like, it's begun. The sleazebagness has begun. This was the first moment where I was like, this guy is such an asshole. Like, he said dumb things so far, but this is such a, I just want one. It's so mean to just say to your wife after she said that to you. It's such a mean response of, yeah, but I want it. You know?
Yeah. I also feel like there's
heart.
a way. Yeah, have some compassion. And I feel like there's a way to say, like, you know, I really thought that we would, just the 2 of us would be enough. But I'm starting to realize that, like, I do think that kids are really important to me. And I think I have to stand my ground. Nope. I just feel that I want one.
Just no sign from him that he appreciates her or is sad at all about this. It's so sad. It's so sad to watch. It breaks my heart. Poor Naya.
Well, Lily finds the string.
Yay.
Surprise, surprise. But wants help pulling it out. And Charlotte says, I draw the line at helping you pull out your tampon. I am done with this crap. And then she starts walking away, and we can see that she has a big period stain on her pants. And Lily's like, Mom, no, come back. There's something. And Charlotte's like, I'm not coming back. I'm done with you. And then she goes to her gal pals, and she's like, Lily's crazy. I'm over it. And then they all see the period stain, and then they cover it up with a sweater. And they're like, Charlotte, you still have your period. It's a flash period. And Charlotte's like, oh, ha, ha, ha. And peace was in the kingdom once again.
And then that's it. I remember this moment because you and I watched the making of documentary, and they mentioned this scene in particular and saying, this is when they were talking about how the writers take from real life, and someone had like had this experience and they wanted to like reflect that or whatever. All fine and good, but again, like, what? I mean, why isn't this like the instigating thing? You know what I mean? Is like she has a flash period somewhere, and then the hijinks are them doing all these very middle schoolery things of like tying the sweater around, trying to go buy underwear. You know what I mean? There's like something kind of funny that could have been there of like them all having a response to her having flash period in the same way that middle schoolers would have a response to someone getting their first period and they're like not ready. There's so many like funny little things you can do, but they just tag this on in the end, and I'm like, that's it? That's all we were doing this for? Just threw it in at the end of the episode and didn't do anything fun with it.
There could have been some nice mirroring where, like, you know, exactly to your point, like Lily freaks out about the tampon and Charlotte's like, you got this, cover it up. And then Charlotte freaks out about the flash period and Lily's like, Mom, you got this. It's okay.
Yeah, there you go. I love it. Great.
No, too complicated. So Carrie and Steve talk again because, you know, as we mentioned, Carrie lost her wedding ring in the sink, but Steve helps her and is able to get it out, and Carrie's so relieved. And Steve basically says, you know, I'm never taking my wedding ring off. What makes me laugh is that the show paints it like it's horror for Carrie. Like Carrie sees him say that, and instead of being like, oh, she's like, I don't want to be that fun guy. Like, don't let that be me. Runs home, rips the rings off.
What a freak.
What a freak. Like, texts Peter back, like, actually, no, I do want to date you. And then goes for the club that's hosted by the European guy that Seema's trying to fuck. And we end on, and just like that, I was up for a dance. Like, literally sees Steve and is like, ugh, gross.
And feelings.
I won't be that guy.
It's like, Carrie,
absurd.
She and us, we had different reactions to Steve's statement about how he's going to keep the ring on. Very different reactions. But that is the name of the game with this show is, that's not what I would have done as a reaction, but okay. And then the scene ends.
And then it's over.
And then we're done. Okay.
Wow.
We're out of here.
Emily's like packing the suitcase. Like, when can I leave? When can I go? When's the next bus? I got to catch my train. So we end our episode like we end all episodes with our high and our low, our rose and our thorn. Emily, what was your low of the episode? What was your get them?
I think the I'm not Meg Ryan. Fuck! Like that entire insane scene. This is pure and just like that being shot into my eyeballs, and I don't like it.
I think my get them for this episode is going to be showing up to the charity event in the limo and not making a thing of it.
Yeah.
Come on now.
Yeah. Someone needs to mock this.
Someone needs to say something. Okay. Stand up and say something. Full chested. Yeah. Emily, what was your rose, your highlight, your release the Kraken of this episode?
It's very brief, but it's got to be Anthony screaming, "Get out."
Yeah. Gotta be for me. Or I gotta say, like, the Steve saying, you know, I'm not gonna take the ring off. Like, I remember being really moved by that when I watched the first time, and I was moved by it the second time. Well, this has been And Just Like That, Season 1, Episode 9. Join us next week for when we close out this horror show. Woo!
We're almost there. We're almost there.
We're almost there. Thank you for being with us on the journey. We hope that you are as excited to get to Sex in the City as we are. Please give us a follow, a like, upvote, subscribe, a high five, a poke. Remember that? Or am I dating myself? Have a great day, and we'll see you next time. Bye.